Welcome to the Hair of the Dog podcast. My name is Heather Lahtinen, and today we are diving back into the coaching journals, and this is our fifth in a series. You can listen to previous episodes. They are 192, 196, 201, and 205 if you would like to get caught up. It's not imperative, but it could give you a general idea as to what our clients are working towards. The coaching journals are two Elevate members that have agreed to share their experiences and let us follow along with everything that they are working on in their business. This includes their thoughts, ideas, plans, strategies, along with challenges and obstacles. They share specifics on number of clients, how they're getting those clients, sales goals, and their actual numbers in terms of what they are bringing into their business. They get a business coaching call every month with me to talk through what's happening and where they need help. The goal of the coaching journals was not only to help these two photographers, but to share with everyone, which includes you, what it takes to build a successful pet photography business. Today, you will be hearing from Christi Baker. You can find her at christibakerphotography.com. Christi is preparing for a major life event. She's having a baby. And in this conversation, we worked through the transition from in-person sales to selling via a gallery. We also worked through a silent auction snafu and what she learned. You'll also hear from Monica Adalsteinsson. You can find her at pupandmephoto.com. Monica's brain presented her with many questions in this call, and some of them were, how am I going to pay my bills? Why am I not booking clients? What is stopping me from making $1,000 a day? How can I get out of this anxious loop? We explore all of that and more. And if you are seeking assistance in developing your business, please consider exploring our Elevate program. I am extremely enthusiastic about guiding you through any hurdles you may encounter and supporting you in creating a successful and flourishing pet photography business. And what makes us different from any other photography business program is that, well, like everyone else, we provide you with all the checklists and strategies. Everyone does that. But we also know how to support you when none of it works. Essentially, when the standard approaches fall short, we step in with tailored guidance and support to address your specific challenges. Make sure you check out Elevate at hairofthedogacademy.com/elevate. I hope you enjoy these coaching calls. Okay, Monica, give us an update. How are things going?
Yeah, things are going really good. So we're not quite at goal for August, but that's okay. Like that happens. So
Well, there's still 10 days left.
right, there's still 10 days left. Yes, there's still time. We are launching our membership again for to like bring in some more people. So hopefully that will boost our revenue for the month. So yes.
May I ask where you're at for the month?
Yes, we are. Oh my gosh, I think I just texted it to my partner. I think we were at like 6,000. I can run
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm. And the goal was
payment real quick.
16 per month, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Okay, we just need to generate $1,000 a day for the next 10 days. Easy.
Yeah. Easy. Easy peasy.
I mean, why not?
Right? So on that note, I went in and was like, okay, I need to like change my mindset on this. I talked with Angela doing the one-on-one coaching with her. So I was like, okay, I'm going to use, it's getting towards the end of Elevate. So I was like, I need to use up all my coaching like everyone does, right? Everyone's
Yes.
scheduling everything. And like, we found that like I was like feeling very anxious about money because like I'm not hitting my numbers this month, right? And I was like feeling very anxious because she asked me a question about inquiries and I gave her my income numbers and she's like, hold on, that's a problem. So, but it really helped me change my mindset. I'm like, okay, so August, I'm going to spend some time leaning into training, leaning into marketing, and seeing like what I can do to set myself up for success for September because I have zero bookings for September. And I'm like, why am I not booked, and I've had
Mm,
like low inquiries for August. And I'm trying to think like maybe it was because like in May and in June I was very busy and I maybe wasn't as marketing as hard
mm,
as I was in
mm-hmm.
those, there's it's like 3 months, look back 3 months where you were and like
Yes.
see
Yes.
where what were you doing? I was very busy photographing and making a lot of money and then probably wasn't marketing as hard as I should.
Right.
Yeah. So we implemented a marketing calendar and for the next year. So just did that yesterday, like plugged in like in-person events, um, content creation, like all that stuff, like promotionals, like we mapped it all out. So that's good. But it's just a matter of like getting it out there now. Yeah.
Okay. Tell
But
me about the
on
anxious thoughts about the money that you were experiencing.
yeah, I I get I get anxious because like I know I can do it, right? And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, how do I know I can do it again. So what is stopping me from making that $1,000 a day? Like, and the thoughts behind that, I get really anxious because like I want to pay my bills. I feel like kind of like when I reached out to you about the one-on-one coaching, I started to feel really anxious because I was like, I don't know if I can pay her next month, and that made me feel very like embarrassed and like
Mm,
shameful because I was like,
mm.
I want to pay you because you're amazing. You know what I mean? So I was like, I don't want to, I know I can pay you. And I know like that will give me the fire, the motivation too. But like the back of my head, I was like, but September, I have nothing booked. How am I going to pay Heather? You know what I mean? So I
Okay.
got
Well,
really
answer
anxious.
like it's important to your brain presented you with several questions there.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, so
how am
many.
I going to pay my bills? Why am I not getting bookings? So we just need to start answering the questions.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I want to come back
Yes.
to that in a second, but I want to
Sorry,
go back to
I'm
the
chaos.
feeling of anxious is like when we say to ourselves, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills or I'm not going to have the money or how am I?
Yeah.
The actual thought you're thinking is that I'm not going to be able to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So be very
That
clear with the
is,
thought.
yes. Yeah. Cause that's the thought driving it. And my brain is, the filter is how, right?
How? The
Yeah.
filter is the question. The brain's like,
Yes.
well, Monica, you're not bringing in money. You don't have
Yeah.
inquiries. You don't have as many bookings. How are you going to do this? That was all presented to you by your brain. It's like, thank you very much.
Thank you.
But then you started to feel anxious.
Yeah.
But the thought driving the feeling, like the anxious feeling is I'm not going to be able to figure this out. Because in the same breath, you said, I wrote this down. You said, I know I can do it.
Yeah.
I've done it
Yeah.
before. I can do it again. I know I can do it. But let's not mix these two thoughts together because one thought is I can't do it and it leaves you feeling anxious.
Hmm.
There's another thought. I know I can do this. If you think that thought, what do you feel?
Like so much relief and like inspiration. Like I don't
Oh,
feel,
inspired.
yeah.
Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm building two models on a sheet of paper.
I love
So
it.
one model is the anxious feeling driven by the thought, I don't know how to do this. I'm not going to be able to do this. And then what do you do when you're feeling anxious and scared?
Oh, I spiral. Like I just go into this stuck spiral state and I have to like journal my way out of it. So I have to like sit down and like be like, hold
Sure.
on, no. Like let's check in. But yeah, I definitely like you get into that terrible mindset where like you're not, it reflects on like your social media as well. And like maybe your marketing, like it comes off in a scarcity mindset.
Everything.
So
Yeah, I
yep,
always say it oozes from your pores. Like it just comes
yep,
out of you. So you're feeling anxious and you're spiraling and you feel stuck and you're not sure what to do. And then what happens is things don't get done. You're not marketing your business, at least not effectively. You might be
yes.
taking some action, but it's certainly not inspired action. And then you just stay in this loop.
Exactly. That's why I was like, I'm not going to let myself do that. And we wrote out a whole marketing calendar for the next 12 months to like,
Oh,
have a plan. So
interesting.
we're right. So then that way I'm not doing this last minute, like I need to run a promo or a whatever and just like feeling rushed. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yes.
Running from that
Yes.
scarcity. So we wrote down like a whole list. We brainstormed a whole list of marketing stuff or in-person events that we want to go to, all that. And then we categorized it by like what type of events they are. I learned this on the Hair of the Dog Academy.
Hmm.
I went in and like did their calendar training. So yeah, I was like this, but it calmed me down so much, like writing it all out and just seeing like I have a plan for every month. We have different types of marketing in place. And that's very much like my go-to saying that I like to say, like, I'm taking action every day towards my goals. Like, and that was me like laying it all out so I can calm down.
Okay. When you did that, when you took all of that action, how did that feel?
Oh my gosh, so much relief and like clarity, like
Mm.
so much clarity. Cause it's like, it's right in front of me. Like, I have a plan. I know what I'm doing now. It's not like chaos.
It's
I
not
feel like I
chaos. It's inspired action.
exactly. Yeah, it's planned and yeah, strategic.
This is so interesting. Did you recognize that when you planned that calendar, you went straight to the action line?
Oh,
You went to like, I'm going to take all this action.
yeah.
And what I was like teasing out there was you're feeling inspired. And the thought is, I have a plan. You said that.
Yep.
When you're thinking, I have a plan, I know this plan works, I know I can do it, and you're feeling inspired, you created a calendar.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you'll just execute on that, right? Okay, so the important thing here is like everybody always tells me all of the action they're going to take. They say, Heather, I know I need to market my business. I need to work on my pricing, my website. I need to do, they go straight to the action line, which is great, but I'm
Yeah.
really more concerned with what you're thinking
Yeah.
that's driving that.
Yeah. Hmm.
Are there any other thoughts that drove that action? The one I
Yeah.
heard you say was, I have a plan, but were there any others?
I think it's mostly like what you're, I think it's like I want more consistency as well. And so I often feel like I don't, I'm not sure if it's like the way my brain works or maybe just because like it's my first year full time in business. Like I don't have a clear
Mm.
plan, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And so like every month, like I hear something new. So like I just signed up for the photo book
Mhm.
project like just did and like that like wasn't planned. Do you know what I mean? Like I want everything to be very planned moving forward to
Okay,
give me
why?
some more because I don't like I don't mind like some sporadic stuff happening, but I don't like the feeling of creating a promotion or whatever out of a scarcity mindset.
Mm.
I don't think it goes
Mhm.
well. It makes
Mhm.
me, yeah, like I don't want to be in that position where I'm putting myself there to make
Mm.
something. You know what I mean?
So,
Like I want to be, yeah.
but does not having a plan always equal something being done from scarcity?
No, no, because the calendar contest,
Right.
I put that together in like 2 days. Like it was just totally unplanned and last minute. But it didn't come from a place of scarcity. I felt like it came from a place of like I wanted to like help my rescue. And I
Yeah.
really loved the idea of like raising funds and also making some money. So
So okay,
right.
but why did that work? Why is that
Yeah.
okay? Because
I
that's not
think because
consistency, that's not plan.
right? That's so true. I think it worked because it wasn't um born out of like a scrambling feeling of like I need to make this money right now. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like I wasn't looking being like my books are empty the next month. Like I wasn't looking at it that way. It was just
Even
like,
though
oh,
they
this sounds like
are.
fun. Right. Even though they are.
So how did
But
you do that?
I think it was because it was fun. Right.
So what if
And
that's
I
the
was
key?
excited. Yeah.
What if
Yeah.
I mean, what you had said was, I want consistency. But what if you didn't? And what if you didn't need
Yeah.
it? What if it wasn't consistency? It was just trust that things like the book project come
Yeah.
up, you get excited about them, you execute from a really clean place, clean thinking, and
Yeah.
it works because it's fun and exciting. So maybe it's not consistency. That's
Yeah. Just
maybe.
finding things that like actually make me happy and that I
Mhm,
feel really good about, that I'm
mhm.
excited about.
Yeah. What if there's a
Yeah.
balance between having your plan, like you planned out the marketing calendar and creating some consistency where you could? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And leaving space for creativity and inspiration.
Ooh, I like that.
What if?
That's a good one. What if
What
we
if?
did that?
What if the thing I think I need, consistency in a plan? Like you said that as if it's like that's what it is, period. Like
That's, yeah,
yeah,
that's the answer.
I just want to question the assumption that that's
Yeah,
really what you need, because in the case of the book project, this goes against both of those things.
right? It really does.
Isn't
Yeah.
that so interesting?
Yeah.
So maybe it's something
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Maybe, consistency, like, okay, who doesn't love, listen, consistency you could get from a corporate job and you could get a steady paycheck, but you'd be in jail. So
Yeah.
there's consistency.
Yes.
Maybe that's not it.
Yeah.
You like to plan because you
Yeah.
like to feel in control.
Yeah. It's a way of controlling. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also like, yeah, I think oftentimes I forget about like what I did the previous year. So I'm like scared of forgetting like what I did was successful. So I'm trying
Mhm.
to like write out those things too. Like going back to the calendar contest, like writing that out. Like when did I start that? How did that project go? Was it, good for everybody? So I feel like I often like forget, like looking back, I'm like, what did I do last year? Why was I so busy? So I'm trying to like
Well, hey, that's
write that
actually a
stuff
great
out.
question. You
Yeah.
actually have evidence and proof that you can do this.
Yep. I really do.
So, is it possible that just like that feeling of anxiousness came from a thought that your brain presented you that wasn't actually you, by the way? It was just your
Yeah.
brain saying like, "Oh, it was your brain like gaslighting you." It was like, "Oh yeah, how are you going to do that, Monica?"
Right.
If you could just
Yeah.
catch that faster, sooner, and
Yeah.
say, "I know I can do it. I've done
Yeah.
it in the past. I know what I'm doing. And this is all just a matter of me thinking better thoughts.
Yeah.
And I just need to shift the
Totally.
thought. This is just a matter of me thinking better thoughts. I don't need to believe everything my brain presents me with. I'm
Yeah.
going to stop listening to it and start talking to it. So when it says, how are you going to do this? When it presents you with any question, answer the question.
Yeah.
This is how I'm going to make the money. This is how I'm going to get coaching.
Yeah.
This is how I'm going to invest. This is how I'm going to
Yes.
market, get clients, because you actually did that. You
Yeah.
you went in right into action of creating the marketing calendar.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that came from a thought. You just didn't realize it.
Yeah.
And the thought
Yeah.
was, I have a plan. I can create a plan. So you created a plan and you feel inspired by it.
Yeah.
And then everything starts working again until your brain presents you with another garbage thought.
Right.
And then you
Please
just,
stop.
yeah, you just have to say, like, I know I've told you this, but I'm always like, when my brain does that to me, I say, okay, your opinion is noted.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know you're just trying to keep me safe, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and pursue this anyway because everything is working. I know what I'm doing. Now, I mean, does it surprise anyone that you would have like a couple of really big months and then
Yeah.
no,
Have a little
because
second. Yeah.
because of what's written in the big leap. You
Yes.
you
I have that on my list.
you hit an upper limit.
Yeah.
What
Yep.
was your highest month to date?
16,000.
Yes.
Like a little over 16. Yeah.
You hit 16,000 and there was what mixture of thoughts and feelings around that?
Oh my gosh. I felt like once I hit it, like everyone was so excited, right? And I was just sitting here and I was like, but what if I can't do it
Yeah,
again?
your
And I
brain did
hate
that.
that. My
You
brain didn't let me celebrate very much. Like I tried, you know what I mean? Like I was like, I'm so excited, yay. But then also in the back of my mind, it was like, ugh, are you sure?
two questions.
But
Your brain just gave you
yeah,
two questions. Are you
yeah,
sure? And what if you can't do that again?
yeah,
Monica, that is
yeah.
not you.
Right? It's not. Yeah.
It's not. It sounds so like woo, but that your
Yeah.
brain did that to you because you hit an upper limit. You're like a new identity. I'm a 16K a month earner now. Your
Yeah.
brain said that to you. I want you to right now answer those two questions.
Yeah. Actually, I'm a 20K monthly photographer. I've been writing that down in my journal to counter that
Yes.
thought because like I want to make more and I'm like that was easy.
That
Like
was
I
easy.
can yeah, so that's my counter thought is
But when your brain
that
says,
was
what if you can't do that again?
what if I can't well, if I can't do that again, I will say that I have the power to do that again. I have plans in place. I have data and numbers that show like I did it. Like, and ever since then, I've been making 5 figures each month. So that's not bad.
No,
I'm very
that's
happy
no,
about
it's
it.
very good. You
Yeah.
can really simply say to your brain, shut up, sit down.
Yeah.
When
That's
it
the
says,
best answer,
what if you
actually.
can't do that again? Yes, I can.
Yeah.
I clearly can because I just did.
Right?
Of
Yeah.
course I can do it again.
Yeah.
What was the other question? I forget now that your brain said, what if you can't do that
Are you
again?
sure?
Yeah,
Are you sure? Yes, I am sure. I'm so sure. I'm very
correct.
sure of myself.
Yeah, it's you know what I
Yeah.
picture? I picture your brain like, in the back of your head and it's going like this to you. It's like, are you sure? It's like
It's
giving
like
you the
just coming out
side
of its
eye.
dark cave. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
And you say, yes, I am. Thank you. I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
You can do it again because you have
That
proof.
easy. Yep.
This is just a
And I
matter.
noticed it's just a matter. Yeah. And I notice like I feel this way every month now. Like towards the end of the month, I get this kind of like anxious feeling. But then the first of the month hits and I read my numbers and I'm like, oh, why was I so stressed? Like
Hey, listen,
it's
it's
some
worth exploring the thought that's leading to the anxious feeling or the stress feeling, though. What do you think you're
yeah.
thinking at the end of the month when you're running those numbers?
I'm scared I'm gonna have to go back to corporate America. Like,
Okay, so there's a
I do
fear.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I no thanks. Nope. Nope. I'm very happy with my life right now. So we do not want to do that.
Would you let that happen?
No. I wouldn't let myself. Yeah. I don't
No,
want
so
to go back to that.
that's not on the table.
No.
So I'm not even gonna
It's not even an option.
no. So don't even for 1 second entertain it in your brain.
Yeah,
When it
for
comes up,
sure.
I'm feeling anxious because I don't want to go get a job. Yeah, okay, fair enough, because I'm not going to get a job because I really do not want to. Like,
Right.
it makes sense that you're feeling anxious if you're thinking you might have to go get a job.
Right. Yeah.
But if you don't think that thought,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have anxiety from that thought. I mean, it might come up from
Right.
another one, but it wouldn't be from that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And say no.
Do you
I'm
see
making
how I'm so focused on identifying the thought that's causing the feeling that's not serving you?
yes. I need to get better at that.
You just need to find it. Aware. It's just
Yeah.
awareness. No, you're actually,
Yeah.
I think you should give yourself more credit. I think you're really good at it. It just takes us a minute, and that's why we have a coach. That's why we have Elevate. That's why we
Right.
talk about it so that you can get some help uncovering the thought that's causing the feeling of anxiousness. And it's
Yes.
usually some version of like the brain offering you doubt.
Yes. Yeah. And it's so interesting because I feel like most people don't understand like this is so beneficial. Like, you know what I mean? Like before I met you, I was like, I don't know about this. And like I am so hooked. Like yeah, all about it.
I
Like
will never
it makes
be
such a
without
huge
a coach. I talked to my business coach yesterday, and guess what? Talking about pricing and money, just like everyone else, I have the
yeah.
same issues. And she helped me uncover my thoughts. And I said to her, I said, Carrie, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed because I teach this. Like, how am I not seeing it myself? And she's like, we cannot see it in ourselves. That's why everyone needs a coach. You need to talk to someone, because
Yeah.
when it's in your mind, it's in the dark and it's jumbled and
Yes.
it's confused and it's getting tossed about with a bunch of other thoughts and feelings. Like you
Yeah.
had said, you actually said to me at the beginning, you had a sentence that combined two opposing thoughts. You said, how am I going to do this? I don't know what to do. And then you said, I know I can do it.
Yeah. That sounds very much like me.
So, my job is just to show you your thoughts. Oh, look, isn't that
Yeah.
interesting? That
Yeah.
I actually believe I can do this and I know how to do it. And maybe it's not me that is offering me the thought that I don't know how to do it. It's just my brain trying to keep me safe. And it's really important. I'm actually thinking about doing a series on the podcast about anxiety and how important it is to separate you from your brain. Like the real
Yes.
Monica,
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
the
I do
real,
this to myself before photo sessions.
mm,
Because I used to get terrible anxiety. I would feel like I was going to be sick. Like I'd be
mhm.
sitting in my car waiting in the parking lot, feel like I was going to be ill. And like now I'm like, nope, my body's going to take over. Even if I am terribly sick, even if I'm crapping my pants, my body will take over and it will be fine. And like that thought, I don't even have anxiety, pre-session anxiety anymore. Cause I'm like, my body's going to take over. Doesn't matter. If my brain's not there, my body knows what it's doing. It's going to be taking beautiful photos. Yeah.
Amazing. You
I know,
dropped
so
into
silly,
belief for yourself.
right? Yeah. I need to do that with my money now.
Yeah, and
With my revenue.
separate out any of the thoughts that cause any negative emotion. So we're
Yeah.
talking about fear and anxiety today, but any thought produces a negative emotion. I promise is not from you. It is from your brain. It is not
Yeah.
you. It is separate. These are two separate entities. There is your brain trying to keep you safe, and there's the real Monica who is inspired and excited and hopeful and knows how to do it. Anything that you think on purpose produces a positive feeling. That's how I know when it's coming
Yes.
from the real you versus your brain.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when like you're in a position to do this yourself, like self-coaching,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm feeling like crap. Well, that's so interesting. My brain must be offering me a thought. I
Yes.
am going to choose as Monica to think a better thought and tell it again to sit down and shut up.
Yes.
Okay, great.
I love
Okay, good
it.
luck this month and let us know how
Thank
it
you.
goes and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. I'm so excited to hear an update, Christi. Tell us where you're at, what's going on, what you're thinking, and how can I help you?
Awesome. So really right now, starting to kind of look forward into both holiday planning and the maternity leave. So that's really where my brain is kind of launching into. I've got some clients really kind of have a nice setup through the fall. So I've gotten to kind of where I want to be. I have a marketing event this weekend if it's not too hot outside.
Mm.
It's like supposed to be over 100.
Oh, no, thank you. Yeah.
Which I was like, I may have to pull out of that if I'm not feeling like it just might not be a great mix with pregnancy, but we'll see. Um, so yeah, no, with that, I feel pretty like motivated to kind of keep tweaking things to get it to kind of where I want it to be as I come back from maternity leave.
Right.
I don't expect to come back like a full 100%. So like what is scaling it and ramping it back up, I guess what I would say to that. So yeah, that just trying to kind of start brainstorming through that and kind of spent a couple hours on that this morning. And so I feel pretty good about it.
Okay, great. What
Yeah.
challenges do you have? Anything that I can help you with?
Oh gosh, I think one of the things, and I posted this in the Elevate group, but I would love to chat about it. So I am like, basically, we're not going to do any childcare until probably about 8 months. So after about the first quarter, it's going to be mostly on me. And so my husband and I have like mapped out an idea of like, okay, well, I could photograph on like Sunday mornings, and go with clients and do just like one day a week. And that'll be enough for now, as I start to ramp back up. And then I was like thinking, I was like, okay, IPS, like, how do I do that? How do I time it with naps? It's probably going to go like haywire at some point. So I started just brainstorming. I was like, okay, what could I do? Could I like just make it one day a week? And then I like kind of started thinking, I was like, well, what about gallery options? I know this isn't necessarily maybe what most people would choose to do. Um, but as a way to kind of create like that stopgap of, okay, yeah, this is the time I'm going to be able to allocate and dedicate to it. Whereas I can get the work done and deliver it, but also want to create a really good experience with that. So that's kind of where I was like, I want to explore that a little bit more, and like really think about kind of how can I still make it a really pleasant experience for a client, in addition to helping me know that, there are going to be days that just go haywire and they're not going to go the way I planned them. So working through that.
Okay. So what are you thinking? What do you think will maybe be the best approach, or how could you plan for contingencies? What does that look like?
Yeah, I like the idea of transitioning to a gallery only, just for, testing it out, seeing what works, and figuring kind of like what are maybe best practices, parameters that I can really put around it so that I get clients that, don't linger too often, or like they look at it once and then they disappear, right? You want to make sure that that kind of sale comes to fruition. So I think creating like a sense of urgency, and stuff like that is really where I want to make sure that the whole experience goes seamlessly from, session to you get the gallery, what to expect. And like that the ordering really becomes a bit more of a seamless process. So.
Okay. Walk me through that. So I'm a client and we have our session. And you send me, okay, and obviously you'll be communicating the whole time. They'll have this information, but let's just like fast forward to you're sending me the email to tell me that my gallery is ready. What does that look like? What do I do? What are the packages?
Yeah. So I think still sticking with like my 3 packages, which I'm in the middle of updating right now. Three coherent packages and then a little bit of a la carte. So like, no more than 3 options probably under wall art, albums, and then like a portrait collection type thing if they want more of the like desk situation. But a portal to somewhere,
Right.
a portal, where they can go in, they can look at all of their portraits, select their favorites so that they can kind of help narrow themselves down. And then they can do all of the ordering and paying through that to make it super easy, super seamless, so that I make it easy for them to pay me.
Yeah, I hope so. Of course, that's the goal. Always make it easy for people to give you money.
Yes.
Will they have picked their package ahead of time?
No, I do session fee, and then you can opt for, collections afterwards. One of the things I do like to do, and I was doing this on my higher packages. I want to increase my prices to the point where my smallest package is already included in that, is that your session fee just gets credited
Okay.
to you if you purchase that package. So I need to work through like I would need to work through the technical elements of like how that would work.
So your packages are a combination of wall art, albums, digitals. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So it's matching digitals, and then a combination of prints or wall art. So the 2 larger packages right now are wall art, album, and then the matching digitals that come with it. Cause I already built them. I already created them. You should.
Yeah. That's easy. That's easy. Okay. I know that people are doing this. I know that this is a thing. What are the challenges people face with this model?
I think some of the challenges, is like that physical interaction with a product, right? From the IPS to this more digital based place, which I think there's a solve for that, but I won't go there for you yet. I think some of the other things is that life gets in the way. People miss the email. When they don't have an appointment, they don't make things a priority, right? Again, I think there could be a solve for that. What other things? I think kind of just selling, right? Like the emotional kind of pathos that kind of comes through with selling in person maybe isn't as strong in the digital environment. But again, I know people are doing this and I know that they're successful. So I know that
It's possible.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. I would definitely agree with that. Will you have physical products with you on the day of the shoot to show them so they can see things?
That's what I would like to get to.
Yes.
Right now, my smallest wall art piece that I carry around is a 20 by 30, and it's just freaking massive for
Yeah.
my car. So I'd love to get like a 16 by 24 that's just a little bit easier for me to cart around. Especially because I live in the city, people's cars get broken into all the time. I don't have like a closed trunk space. So just making sure that like I think through that a little bit more diligently. But I do tend to take like an album with me. A lot of times that tends to be like a really good thing, just because I love selling albums. So that generally works out pretty well. So yeah, I do. And I want to like start doing a lot more of that, of like, here, come check this out. Some locations that's hard just because you have no idea where somebody parked and they didn't park close to you.
Right.
But
I was just wondering, how much does the actual session change knowing that you're not going to be seeing them again? Like, are there things that you can do or say in the session that you would have, in the past, you would have done it at the IPS, but because that's not going to happen, how could you sort of, integrate that into the session itself?
I mean, I think like even just pre-session, even asking like, are you a wall art? Are you an album? Like those kind of questions. And then also like taking portraits where, maybe I switch from horizontal to vertical and be like, this would be amazing in a hallway. Like just making comments like that, to kind of like spark that like creativity, getting them to imagine what it would look like in their home. And yeah, so I feel like kind of just even engaging a little bit more in that way with a client would definitely help.
How can you look at this also as like the first couple of times, or when you do your first one, like as an experiment? Like you try different things.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see like, well, that didn't work, or it did, and that's great. Like sort of putting your scientist hat on when you come back from maternity leave, like, let's just go into experimental mode. How can we provide the best possible experience and
Yes.
still maximize the sale?
Yeah. And I think that's where, like, again, to your point, put together a hypothesis, say like, this is what I'm testing this time. And I think that this is what the result will be. But if it's not, that's okay. I can go back, debrief, look at it again and say, okay, what adjustments can I make? And then kind of the atomic habits thing.
Yes. Yes.
Just continuing to improve over time.
Yes. I love James Clear. That is probably that, and The Gap and the Gain are actually right here on my bookshelf because they are my top two favorite books of all time.
Yeah. I'm reading The Gap and the Gain right now.
Okay, great. I love it. So you want to make sure you stay in the gain when you're experimenting, and it's all about like how you frame it and the mindset around developing a hypothesis. I'm testing it. I'm seeing if it works. And if it doesn't, that's great. Because now I know that doesn't work and I'm going to try something else. And I want you to have this like biases. I've said this towards action where it's just like, I'm going to experiment with this and then this, and I'm just going to try all of these things, but probably implementing one at a time so you can determine what's working and what's not working, and then make more educated, or better, I guess, educated guesses on what to experiment with next. And I also, since we're here, let's talk about this urgency, because if you don't put a deadline on it, then obviously people will linger. They just won't get to it. So what are your thoughts there?
I was thinking 5 days.
Yeah. 5 or less. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think sometimes with a week, right? Especially if you like,
week is too low.
For example, like I open it on Saturday, they're like, oh, I'm going to do it next weekend. And they get to next Sunday and they go, ah,
oops. Yeah.
Right. I feel like 5 days creates a sense of urgency. And I like in my contract, I do have like a stipulation. If I open a gallery for them, that like a reopening fee is $50. So just making sure that's well communicated. So that would kind of avoid that behavior up front. But in the off chance that somebody was like, I'm sorry, I was traveling internationally, like, bah, everything was crazy. Like to have those times of like give and take a little bit with that, as long as it doesn't become habitual with clients.
Yeah, because what is the consequence? I mean, if it's a $50 fee, I mean, I don't know that that's enough of a consequence.
Yeah, you think more like, I don't know, 150.
Yeah. I mean, something that makes me think, like if
True.
I think $50, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm busy this weekend. I'll just pay the extra and do it next weekend.
Yeah, that's true. And then that means me going back and forth and reopening the gallery like 17 times, right?
Exactly. So one thing I have seen that does work, but you would have to maybe restructure your pricing just a little bit,
Okay.
is offering a 10% discount if it's ordered within 5 days.
Oh.
So you would obviously mark up the price, make sure that you're covering that so you can afford to do it. And then
Yes.
it makes sense with your cost of goods sold, all of those things. But then you take a percent or maybe even more, 15%. Because again, 10% to me is like not that worth it, but 15 might be. I mean, whatever makes sense. We have to look at the math and make sure that you're still profitable and you're still within the range of cost of goods sold. But then the incentive is they save money.
Yes.
So that's more of an incentive to me than than having to pay.
That's true. Yeah. That they save, right? Like they feel good about it. It's
Right.
not like, it's not the like, oh no, if I forget about my dentist appointment, I have to pay $150.
Exactly. You could get even a little more granular with it. You could do this. You could say the gallery's open for 5 days. And if you don't place your order within 5 days, the gallery comes down and there's, this $150 restocking fee. But if you order within 3 days, you get 15% off.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, maybe you get all these people ordering hopefully within 3 days. Wouldn't that be amazing? Because again, I think to your point, if the goal is for this to be easier on you and provide a better service to the client, personally, if you come to me and ask me for something and you give me too much time, that's way worse to me than if you said, Heather, I need you to write this. Could you do it by tomorrow? I might be like, oh man, but yeah, I'll get it done. I'll do.
Yeah.
Because I would rather have that short deadline and get it done and checked off my list. Like I don't like, loose ends, but I actually think that photographers giving people too much time is an incredible disservice to the client.
Yeah.
I think giving them a tighter time frame actually helps them make a decision faster.
I agree. Yeah. Cause I think like there's this sense of like, oh, well, what if I should do this instead? Or
indecision.
Also get them to think like they start thinking about, well, that's a little too much right now. Whereas like you want it to be more of an emotional purchase. You want it to be more of a like, this was an experience. This is me treating myself to something. And that's where I think like creating that sense of urgency is helpful with that.
Yeah. So just some ideas to make sure that that's not lingering. Let me give you an example of this. I've always sold gift certificates for my business because why not? If somebody wants to buy one, I love that. But early on in my career, I didn't realize the importance of putting some sort of deadline on it. Now, actually, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that legally you cannot expire a gift card is my understanding. So, check your legal requirements, but at least putting a like best buy date, like
I love it.
Use within the next 6 months. Okay, I didn't do that. I actually got an email yesterday from someone who said, hey, my husband bought me a gift certificate a couple of years ago, and she gave me his email address, his name, and Christi. I went into my QuickBooks, I went into my email, I went into my PayPal, into my Stripe. I have no record of this, which is actually really shocking to me because I have records of absolutely everything. So that gave me a clue that either he didn't, but I believe that he did, or it was so long ago. It was when I was in my old version of QuickBooks, which was prior to
like online
2016.
version.
Yeah. I mean, it was like a long, well, for me, for when I went on it. So I got back to her and I said, hey, could you just let me know like an approximate date range or the amount? And she said, it was like a lot of years ago. And she didn't actually tell me. I'm thinking it probably had to be more than 8 years ago. And it was for like one-on-one photography lessons, which I don't offer anymore.
Okay.
So I'm going to just put her into the academy and give her access to the courses, because I believe that he probably did, and it's just like lost somewhere.
Yeah.
But my point is that took up a little bit of time and space that I'm thinking, I should have been managing these better at the time and putting some sort of limit on when this needs to happen, because and then that made me think, I bet you I have more out there. I bet you I have more gift certificates out there that I don't even remember that people are I mean, okay. So my point is the urgency and the boundaries, the guidelines are there for everyone. So it's important to put them in place.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, in Georgia, you can't expire gift certificates. If they're given as part of a silent auction, you can put an expiration date on it. But other than that,
it's not
no
legal to do so.
But I see companies do it. I bought a gift certificate for like a cooking class for my husband. And I was like, this is a joke, and that's not legally like binding at all. It's like, okay, well, we can still use it after 2 years. It's fine.
Well, you know what? It's funny about the laws. People just say things and do things without even understanding that. But did you know that, like, those signs that are in parking lots that say reserved for like DoorDash or Uber Eats or, pick up for the restaurant, that those aren't legally binding. Like, my understanding is that it's just like a courtesy thing. So if somebody and people do obviously park, and I don't know why I feel like so guilty. I'm like, I'm not parking in that Chick-fil-A spot. Somebody needs their chicken sandwich. I'm not doing it. But it's actually, they legally can't enforce that. It's just courtesy. So it's just interesting. My point there is like, you can put a time frame on something and I mean, deal with it. Or approach it how you see fit. But it's just to encourage people to follow through.
You're like, hey, no, the gift certificates, I love the like activate within 7 days. Please reach out to the studio. That's been like a really helpful one because I feel like it does get a lot of people to like actually take the action. So
right. Which you would probably honor it anyway if they didn't even activate it within 7 days, of course. But it's just It's just good business practice.
Yeah, because then eventually they at least get around to it, maybe in 30 days. And you're like, okay, I feel better about that than like 2 years. So,
okay, great. All right, let's wrap up with overall thinking and feeling around this plan for the galleries. Prepared? Scale. I have a question. A scale of 1 to 10. How prepared do you feel about moving into that model?
I would say probably somewhere in like the 7 range. Like could implement, probably would go a little bumpy at first. Like especially if I started doing it like right now or tomorrow or for my next session. But I know that I'll get there. And I'll just work on it. So I think I can easily get to a 9 or a 10 in terms of like the confidence of like gonna work. My CRM has a gallery system built in, and I have used it before with some mini sessions, and that's worked pretty well.
Oh, I was gonna ask you that. Yeah, what are you using?
Sprout Studio.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I would definitely try. Okay. Which leads to another question. Would it possibly be beneficial for you to test this out on 1 or 2 clients this fall? Would that make sense or no?
I mean, potentially. I heavily communicate like that we'll do their session or their sales session virtual or in person. I think I've pretty much switched everything to virtual now. So I could test it with somebody.
I mean, maybe it's something to consider if something comes up and it works for you or for the other person, maybe there's like an extenuating circumstance and you're like, oh, perfect time. I could test this and see if it works. That just might be something fun to do.
Yeah, I did do it with a silent auction client and that went horribly. So lesson learned on that. But I think that was just it was more of a fluke than a thing. And it was just a
Okay.
one-off. So
Okay.
I learned a few lessons from it. So
Okay, what do you mean by horribly? Just out of curiosity.
So oh gosh, this was an interesting client. Shot in April. We were supposed to shoot last October. They had to push back. They were out of town, weren't even going to be here for most of the winter. I was like, okay, you know what, that's fine. Did their session in April, 2 weeks. I had their sales session ready to go, was sitting on the Zoom waiting, waited for 15 minutes, didn't show up. I reserved the right to shut it down, send an email and say, hey, if you would like to reschedule, please reschedule. They called me, said that they got into some sort of car situation breakdown on the side of a road, didn't realize like that it was happening today. They only had their phone with them and was like, well, that's not a great viewing option. So we rescheduled for a different day. They canceled out again, rescheduled for another day. This, mind you, this is all going through like June. So photograph
wow.
April, this is happening in June. I think I had, after they canceled maybe the third time, I set up a gallery. I was just like, I'm going to set up a gallery for you. Please go in, pick your favorites, and then we can set up time to go through them. And pick out your artwork. Go through, get all their favorites submitted, get it into kind of like what I use to help for sales sessions, just so I can do album mock-ups and wall art mock-ups and stuff like that. They had asked a couple questions about pricing. I had shared my pricing previous to that, mostly digitally. They came back and were like, we can't believe digitals aren't included. So we would like to just call it quits here.
Oh.
And so I followed up. I said, you have a $500 product credit that is generally used for wall art and albums. I would be happy to make the exception to use it towards a small package of digitals, if that's where you would prefer to allocate that money. And they were like, oh yeah, sure, thanks. So they ended up buying like the package of digitals that got like basically where the certificate covered it. And so I was just like, okay, lesson learned.
What is the lesson there? Like, tell us what the lesson is.
I think one is like when people continue or like cancel, I do have a cancellation policy now and it's highlighted in yellow on the contract. If you cancel your IPS appointment, it's, I think I don't remember what I put in, but maybe, $150 fee. Let's just say it was that. And that they have to pay that before they can reschedule for an IPS session. The other side of it is I think the whole first contact until session lingered too long. Again, to your point with a sense of urgency, they forgot about stuff. I probably forgot that I mentioned something, who knows? Communication, I think, just got lost a little bit there. And while I provide a session guide digitally, I provide pricing guide digitally, I provide a product guide digitally, I've come to realize most people just don't read them.
Oh, absolutely not. They don't read them.
So when Jess covered her mailers, I was like, I have to implement something like that, especially if I'm going to go to this gallery style model. And because I've had a couple of sticky situations with pricing. So that was kind of a key takeaway for me, was just like, make sure people really understand pricing. And then lastly, with silent auctions, I know that Nicole is like a big proponent of the value that you give in terms of product credit covers at least the smallest thing you have. And I was kind of talking with Jess about that, and she was like, I offer the session and then that 5x7 print, it cost me a couple bucks. So if somebody completely dishes out on me, it's not a big deal. And I can go find it. I'll go find that new client that I need, and I can spend my time and my efforts elsewhere.
Yes.
And to your point, that lingered for so long that it's just brain space. Right. And you're like, I spent 3 hours just trying to get this person on the phone so that I could sell them something. Whereas like that 3 hours is very valuable time and you don't get it back. So
there you go. Okay, a lot of lessons there, but I think one of the biggest ones is that time frame, that there was just such a huge gap in every point in the process that they either forgot or got lost or they didn't read it, whatever.
Yeah.
And when we compress that and we communicate more, that is less likely to happen. I did know about Jess's approach with winners of any type of,
Yeah.
type of giveaway, and I love it. You get a 5x7. Here's a 5x7.
Yeah. No, I love it. Especially because when you look at your cogs, you're like, okay, if it's this, like, yeah, my cogs is this. And like, maybe that's fine in some senses. Or if you like feel like you really have the silent auction game or raffle game down, definitely.
Right.
But as I'm kind of testing things, I would like to test this model out to see how it works for me.
Yes.
Just so that I can kind of, again, hypothesize, test something if it works, and then move forward from there. And what can I create from that experience? So,
okay, great. Perfect. That was actually super helpful to hear all of those things. And I hope that was helpful for you as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Thank you for talking through this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.
You too.
All right,
Bye,
bye-bye.
Heather.